So Durandal has a pretty bad rep in the community as the person who seems to always follow Otto without question. A question that is often talked about is how can Durandal not disagree with any of Otto's plan? Surely she can't be oblivious to what he's doing, right? Not only will I be explaining why this seems to be the case, but also why it's only a matter of time before this will change. To understand this, we need to know how Durandal views Otto, which can be difficult given how most of her interaction with Otto doesn't stray far from following his orders around. But luckily there's just enough for us to draw a conclusion from. To explain this, I need to bring up the manga Second Key. If you forgot or perhaps haven't read it yet, let me bring you up to speed. So basically this manga was mainly an excuse to drop previous era exposition on us. It happened after Durandal recovered the second Divine Key during the events of the London Holiday manga. After using the Divine Key, Durandal got yoinked by a pioneer from the previous era named Sue. He forced Durandal to go through an illusion which saw her role-playing as him. The idea was that Sue will be observing how she reacted to the situation he used to face in order to determine if she is worthy. From Durandal's perspective, most people that appear in the illusion were replaced by the closest counterpart she knew, like how Sue's mentor was replaced with Otto. For this segment, I will talk about this role-playing Durandal as Sue to avoid confusion. The story for Sue that we got starts from the time when he was dealing with the honkai disease, which was a new thing back then. This was an incurable disease with a 100% mortality rate. Sue, who was a doctor at the time, had been trying to stop this disease for a while. He tried applying to morph in order to help create a cure, but his soon-to-be mentor brashly turned him down, though he deliberately did that on purpose. It's just nice that Durandal acted the same way Sue did for the most part. So by looking at how Sue's interacted with his mentor, we can infer about Durandal's view on Otto. In an incident, Sue contracted the disease himself but fortunately was cured by morph. But wait a minute, wasn't the disease supposed to be incurable? Well, you see, morph were using an advanced technique called Lion. They were able to create a cure, but it was selectively administered because it was too expensive. This of course enraged Sue, who highly objected to this. The interaction between Sue and his mentor is of two different philosophies. One believes that life should not be needlessly thrown away, while the other believes that it's okay to do so as long as it serves a greater purpose. I think I've seen this before. At the time, Sue kinda accepted the reality of the situation, but there's still a line that shouldn't be crossed. That line was crossed when he decided to stop Kevin from enacting Project Stigma. Now the question then becomes whether Durandal would do the same when someone close to her crosses that line. Durandal sees Otto as her teacher, who is harsh on her as a way to push her forward. She's aware of how questionable a lot of his plans are, but just like Sue, she knows that at the end of the day, those plans are there for a greater purpose and thus become acceptable in her eyes. At least that's what she believes. Durandal will go along with whatever Otto is doing on the condition that the plan serves a greater goal, which is usually to defeat the Honkai, but I'm sure we all have realized by now that Otto doesn't care about any of that. All it will take for Durandal to switch sides is to convince her that whatever Otto is doing have nothing to do with any greater purpose other than for his selfish pursuit. Some of you may be wondering how can she not have already realized this on her own, but here's the thing, even if she did, Otto still has an ace up his sleeves in the form of the Fanghuan Down. This is not pure speculation because Durandal herself mentioned that she received special mental training with Otto, and who knows what he can do in the so-called training. Still, that is not to say that Durandal would just drop whatever she's doing right away as she stands to gain by going along with Otto. In the last video, I touched on her motivation that was carried over after the Durandal visual novel. As of now, she is hosting that bubble world in her body while she is finding ways to hopefully connect it to the imaginary tree. Think of it like grafting, with the branch being the bubble world and the tree being, the tree. She cares very much for the people she met in that world, and considering what Otto is trying to do right now involves the imaginary tree, any knowledge he acquires will most likely be useful to her. If only we could just offer to help. From the recent trailers, Durandal seems to be stepping up to become the new Shikso Overseer. As we are currently waiting to see how this will go down, there are still some mysteries yet to be answered. One of which is the nature of Durandal herself, which I unfortunately did not have the time to cover in this video, so until then, I want to know what your views are on Durandal's involvement with Otto. How do you think it might change? Let me know down below. That's all I have for today, and I will see you next time.